Hello and welcome to this very special presentation here on CNN-IBN. With me, a stellar cast. 2008 Olympic champion Abhinav Bindra, 2012 Olympic bronze medalist Gagan Narang, 2014 Commonwealth Games champion Apurvi Chandela, and of course the president of the National Rifle Association of India, Ranindar Singh. Ranindar, let me start with you. We have this new concept in Indian sports of brand ambassadors. But sitting next to the champions that you are, your sport doesn't need them, you're just using them.
Yes, they are wonderful ambassadors for our sport. I mean, just to take a leaf on Apurvi, she said that she came into shooting when she saw Abhinav win his gold in China. So there you are. That's what a brand ambassador in sport needs to do. And I think we have a very strong Gagan, others, Jitu. You know, we have a very strong lineup of Manavs, the Manshes, the old Rathore, Colonel Rathore. They've all played and contributed to the development of our sport.
Nice to see all of you coming on board, including Jitu and Gurpreet, to promote the Asian Air Gun.
Yes, I think having a competition, an international competition in India is always special. We've not had I have not competed much in India over the last many years in an international competition. I think the Commonwealth Games was the last, so it's great to have the Asian Air Gun Championships in India, and I'm looking forward to them.
Yes, sir. Just to pick up on what Abhinav said, Gagan, you know, you have fond memories of shooting at home. That Commonwealth Games, which he mentioned, you went out there and won 4 gold medals. In a sense, the life of a shooter is basically living out of a suitcase. Either you're training abroad, or you're competing abroad. And we've seen the fact that of late you have other sports getting into these leagues. There's so much marketing happening, and shooting perhaps is missing out because you are in a 2-year cycle.
Well, I think the fillip that the Commonwealth Games gave the sport, because we were performing really well, was immense. And a lot of people got to know about the sport in terms of how it is and what it is all about. We have many different events, and it could be complicated for someone who doesn't understand the sport. And since it was televised, and the Asian Championships now will also be televised, so I think it's going to get in more and more people into the sport. They'll know what the sport is all about, what kind of effort does an Abhinav Bindra or an Apurvi Chandela put into the sport to shoot or get the bullseye.
Yeah, I'm just looking at all of you, and Apurvi is quite quiet and she's a bit reserved. But let's draw you into that conversation, because when I started out as a journalist many years ago, we were very strong in women's air rifle. Over the years, the pace has dropped a bit, but nice to see they'll, at least thanks to you, be an Indian at women's air rifle at the Olympics in Rio.
Yeah, now not only me, even Ionica is doing very well. So the women air rifle team has actually picked up a lot, and hopefully we'll continue like this.
You know, the man sitting next to you, Ranindar Singh, brought it up. So this is an interview you gave to us, and you said that you took up shooting when you saw this man here, Abhinav, win that Olympic gold.
I did actually, and I'm so happy I'm out here with him right now, and it's a matter of great pride for me actually.
Were you a bit starstruck when you first came onto the Indian team and saw him? Did you ever tell him that this is what happened?
Actually, he knows, I think, and not only him, even Gagan and all. It's great to be here with them.
And that's what I think champions need to do. They also need to inspire the next generation. You're a man who doesn't show too much emotion, but even a story like this could have you perhaps smiling.
Yeah, I'm immensely proud of Apurvi. I think she's done exceptionally well in the last couple of years. I remember, I think I first saw her in Hanover for the first time, and I've been following her, and I really wish her the very best, and hopefully I wish her best in her career, and I'm sure she'll do very well.
Gagan, Abhinav and you have had careers which mirrored each other. In a sense, you've pushed each other as well. What you're seeing today, look at the turnout in the nationals. In a sense, this is that legacy which Colonel Rathore's medal, his medal, your medal, Vijay's medal, all these shooting champions we've had, in a sense is that, the fact that you guys have gone out there, started perhaps from scratch, you all didn't have that infrastructure which these guys have today, and today Indian shooting is benefiting.
Oh yeah, I think I also used to look at Abhinav for inspiration once upon a time, and be like him. So I'm glad that I could somewhere come a little close, but but yeah, I mean it's come a long way, and I think the bench strength of shooting is improved, and we have a lot of new stars in the firmament, and they're doing really well. So not just in air rifle or air pistol, we've gone to rapid fire, we've gone to shotgun, we're doing really well, and we won medals at the highest level. I mean, if you see shooting, we've won right from Olympic Games down to every medal that is there.
Yeah, Abhinav, to take that forward, in your book, you've written a lot about how difficult it was to, actually get up and get a system going. It's been very difficult to get a system going. But has the federation cashed in on the success? I mean, in terms of Rathor's medal, if I remember in 2004, a lot of channels actually ran what is double trap. Shooting was always perceived as an elitist sport. Thankfully, today it's not. Just look at the kind of people who turn up at the nationals today. I mean, I remember first nationals, I went to 300-400 people. Perhaps now 3,000 people, 4,000 people. I mean, your 10-meter air rifle range is hardly any place to stand.
Yeah, absolutely. The nationals are extremely competitive, especially the air rifle, air pistol events. I think at the nationals it takes 3 or 4 days to complete an event because the numbers are so high, and that's the rise over the last few years of the sport of shooting has been phenomenal domestically. And I must compliment the National Federation for doing a really good job, especially in promoting the sport amongst the juniors, having a strong junior program, giving them the opportunities and the nurturing that is really required at that really important stage of their careers, and hand-holding them and trying to build champions. And I think they've done a fine job on that aspect, and I'm sure that will continue.
Gagan, you, Abhinav, in a sense, Manav, in this present team, I think you're the only ones who've been together since 2004 in terms of the Olympic cycle. At some point, you will have to stop shooting. I mean, you can't go on and on, even though we want you to go on and on. But when you look back today, and you're an Olympic medalist, so both of you can actually look back and see the way the sport is going. When you look back, are you confident that that new generation which is coming forward can seamlessly, that transition can happen seamlessly?
Well, at least it started, and when we were juniors, we didn't have a junior program in place. I mean, at least that is something that the athletes are getting at the moment. And when we started, we had to struggle a lot. We had to learn everything, that every step and everything was an experience for us. But now, I mean, Abhinav has over 15 years of experience. I probably have a couple of years lesser than him. But all this experience has now been given to the juniors. And what took us probably 10 years will take them 3 or 4 or much less time to get where we got.
Yes, and I want to ask you that as well, Apurvi, because I saw you shooting at the Commonwealth Games. You led from start to finish. That similar fight I saw in you when you were fighting for the quota in Korea. This is a new generation which has come in and just wants to win straight away.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition actually now, and each match I just go in to give my best, and in the future also I hope to do the same. But the competition level internationally is also so much. We're now competing with the Olympic gold medalists, and also
you were at the World University Games and you almost thought it's a World Cup happening there.
Yeah, actually that's quite true. So yeah, competing with them, it's giving me a lot of experience now. So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
It's fascinating to hear, Abhinav. These look at the last year, Jitu Rai, the way Chen Singh is in fact performing. This generation it doesn't want to wait. They just want to go. That as Gagan said, you guys have shown them the way. They want to go and win. Then that's a great thing to see in any sport.
Yeah, I think the present generation is extremely competitive, and I think that all goes from the fact that they have a lot of exposure available to them right at that beginning, right in the beginning, and I think that really helps. And yeah, it's the new generation. They want to go out there and win, and that's absolutely great to see.
But what do you attribute this mental belief as well to, Gagan? Is it cashing in on the legacy of from Rathore down to you guys, or is there something else as well?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, someone has to lead the way, and I think Colonel Rajvardhan Rathore did that for us, and that's when we started believing that yes, an Indian can go out there and win medals. Abhinav reiterated that in 2008, and I'm sure the fire lit up in more Apurvis and more Abhinavs after that, and there's been no looking back since then. So hopefully that we will perform better and better in the times to come.
We have this Indian of the Year event every year, and Jitu Rai was the sportsperson of the year, and everyone last year was amazed by the sheer consistency by which he went and took world shooting by storm.
There's a life cycle that an athlete goes through to reach Olympic champion status. Jitu struggled, as did any of these gentlemen and ladies on the dais. You have to go. Every athlete inherently goes through a struggle, whether it be a physical struggle or a mental struggle, or a financial struggle, or a combination of all three. Jitu struggled, but he was persistent, and I must give kudos to the Army Marksmanship Unit to keep backing him. At one time they were thinking of dropping him, and they talked to us and we said, no, we see potential in the guy, just keep with him. And I remember in the World Championship in March last year, when his event was, qualification event was supposed to begin, I quietly went there and sat. I didn't want to disturb, because they don't like to be disturbed. They get into a zone and they don't want to, they get their blinkers on.
That's why we're doing this interview 3 months before the Asian Egg.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was sitting there and he had time to kill, so he just came and sat next to me and I said, Jitu, kaisa hai? Theek hai, sab. He said, Jitunga sahab, I went and got a gold. We should be magnanimous enough as recipients of sporting prowess in shooting to recognize the role of the government of India. They liberalized the Arms Act to allow for 12-year-old children to get a pistol. That's why today you have a junior pistol squad. Otherwise, if you don't have a pistol, then how can you have a junior pistol squad? Whether you become a rifle shooter, a pistol shooter or a shotgun shooter, essentially you all start with a 177 Daisy air rifle. Okay, what we call the Gubare wali banduk in the melas. Okay, now if you put a gun licensing law on that, then these 4,000 kids who are coming into the Olympic nationals, Olympic shooting nationals, are not going to be there. It's going to dry up. So you're coming third in the World Championship today or getting an Olympic medal in 2020. Forget about it. It's not happening.
I've seen you, Gagan, on the shooting range 2003 onwards. I know the hair's gone a bit grey as well. When you look back and see these performances coming, say from a Jitu, I mean, I messaged you that day about chancing. You sit back and say, wow, what's happening in the sport?
No, I've been saying it for a while. I think the rise in the sport of shooting has been absolutely phenomenal. I think we have so many people coming up in different events, and that is something really special. It's not that it's just an air rifle. It's in all events that our standards, a general depth in our sport has increased.
And also, Apurvi, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, there's Ionica as well as your teammate, and perhaps all of you spur each other on. I mean, the scores which you all are shooting, say perhaps, you see what's going on, the fact that there is a selection policy, you obviously want to do better, and by doing that, it's obviously the Indian flag which goes up at these events.
Yeah, we try our best to just shoot the best that we can to the best of our abilities, and yeah, we want to see shooting grow more and more, and I hope one day it becomes a spectator-friendly sport, because it is actually interesting. And now that our finals the format has changed, and there's so much more to it now. It's actually fun watching it. Like, if I'm not playing, I would always like to watch the others shoot. So that ways, I hope it grows more and more.
Now, when you or Gagan head out to a shooting range, say for the 10-meter air rifle, all eyes are on you. I mean, everyone wants you to win. I mean, unfortunately, that's the nature of the game. Your Twitter status says that as well, Olympic medal wannabe. How do you now, after all these years, how do you approach, say, heading into the next Olympic Games?
You can only do well in a competition when you take it one shot at a time and try and do your best one shot at a time. And at the end of the day, you have to put your head down and go through the whole competition and do the best that you can do and block everything else out. I think, yes, it is only natural that there is a lot of interest, but as an athlete, when you're going out there and performing, you can't think about all of that, and you just have to do what your job is and try to do that job well.
The first target is to just get the quota. That's the first battle. Once it's out of the way, you can think the rules have changed and all, but that's one battle before the main competition as well.
Yes, I think in the sport of shooting, to get to the games is really, really tough. I think there are other sports where getting to the Olympics may not be that difficult, but in shooting, you actually have to go out there and win a quota at really, really high level competitions, and it's really, really difficult to win a quota. And yeah, it takes a lot of energy, and really the first goal is to go out there and win that quota, because there's so many good shooters around the world. The level of competition is so high.
And also, just to take it further on that, look at the scores that are being shot. I mean, earlier you should have 595, 596 in the existing system. You were probably in a final, maybe an Olympic final. Today, look at the World Cups, look at the World Championship, 630, 626. This is an extreme level of competition. I mean, and perhaps you had to change your game as well to adapt to that new setup.
Absolutely, it's extremely competitive, and a lot of young shooters are doing really, really well. And I think there's so many people taking part in the sport. There's so much competition that you always have to keep pushing yourself. You have to try and keep improving your own personal performance. That's the only way to survive. And I think we all strive towards perfection. It's really hard to be. Perfection is a untamable beast, but we strive towards.
Sport is all about perfection as well.
Yes, but we at the end of the day we're human beings, and we're just trying to. We cannot be perfect, but at the end of the day, it's a sport where you have to be perfect on an imperfect day. So it's quite interesting.
That's a nice quote which I shall always remember. I want to ask the same question to you. I mean, you got your quota in prone, but look at the scores in prone as well. I mean, 624, 625 is a high level of scoring. Even air rifle, you shooting that as well. How difficult has it been for you, as someone who's been around for so long, to adapt? Perhaps Apurvi and her generation will not have it that difficult to adapt. But you guys have played most of your life in shooting in a certain format of shooting, but you got to change everything right now.
Yeah, well, I guess the margins of error have reduced, and there's a lot of unpredictability in terms of who's going to win and who's not going to win. And I think it's gone to a level where even a 625 wouldn't get you into the final of prone. The margin of errors have gone to such fractional levels that probably 1 millisecond of a distraction in your mind and you're just go packing home. It's gone so small. It's gone into so small fractions that it's just you just have to be at it 200% and can't just let even a second get away from you.
Since you've been around for so long, both of you, do you still get that same kick in winning a quota, like perhaps 2003 when you won it, 2004 you won it, or 2006? Do you still get that same quota kick when you win a quota, or is this part of the job now?
It's incredibly hard, and it only gets harder.
That's why I asked you. Do you still get that same kick when you like, say you won the quota this time in
You always get a kick, except the kick lasts just a little shorter.
Okay, I didn't want to ask this question to both of them. They'll probably shoot me when they see me after this interview. But were you jumping up and down in your bed when you got that quota in Changwon?
I actually was for a while, and then I realized it actually comes for the country. So now I have to work hard, even harder actually, to maintain my consistency and do well. So it gave that little kick as soon as I won it, but then
I think the sport teaches you to stay grounded, because you're only as good as your last competition.
Yeah.
And it's very unlike different sports where you can show your aggression. So it's all about keeping
aggression is not a good thing in shooting at all, except if you're the president of the NRAI, who actually jumps up and down when somebody wins the quota, and then the frantic phone calls start coming. We've got a quota, we're in the final.
We all love our sport, and I mean, there's no ego issues, there's no conflict. We don't mind backtracking when the athlete's interest is served without a blink of the eye. We like to involve our athletes in our decision-making process. All our selection policies and criteria are framed by existing shooters. I mean, I think all these people in your panel today are in those committees, and we follow the committees and take them up to the higher levels of our federation executive and endorse them.
How desperate are you, Abhinav, to win another Olympic medal? It comes down to that, isn't it? It's that, I remember reading you walked on a pole before Beijing. You probably did a bit of bungee jumping before London. But so it comes down to that. There has to be that. In the word in Hindi probably is junoon. I'm not finding a right word for it. But how desperate are you?
I think desperation is an important aspect, and there's a time for it. And I don't think this is a time to be desperate. That time's past, when you were trying to put a foundation to your Olympic journey, was probably in the first couple of years of the whole cycle. And now I don't think it's a time to be desperate. Now is the time to actually, because if you're going to be overly desperate, you probably won't be able to perform to the highest degree. So it's a combination, it's a balance one has to strike. And now one just needs to train smart, train in a good way, and put one's best foot forward.
For you, as Abhinav said, that this is your first Olympics, so probably you will be desperate to go out there and do well.
I am, but at the same time I have to keep my calm. I have to focus on what's important, like my shooting, the technique, the mental aspect. So I'm just going to focus on all of that and then go ahead. I'm not thinking of the result right now. I'll just focus on the journey.
Are you confident that we've seen this it happened in Athens, a silver medal for Indian shooting, you had a gold. you had 2 medals coming up in London, that by every Olympics as we are going in now, the numbers will increase. I mean, we know it's very difficult to win Olympic medal. I'm not trying to belittle anything in that, but it's natural perhaps for the fans of Indian shooting to expect more and more shooters to do well, considering their form in the last couple of years.
Yes, I think the first goal is to get a maximum amount of people to the games, because the more people we have, the more chances we have to win more medals. I think that is the first part of the journey, and once you're there, you obviously it's an incredible achievement just to be there amongst the absolute best of the world, and then as the president just said, you need a little bit of luck to go your way, and if that happens, I'm sure we can better our past performances.
Final word to you, Raninder Singh. I'm not going to ask them to give me a number, but you obviously have targets in your mind. You keep calling me and telling me, this is what I think will happen, will not happen. So I'm putting you on the mat. What do we expect from Indian shooting a year from now at Rio?
It would be very ungracious of me and very, very wrong for me not to have faith in my athletes, judging by their performance, judging by what they're capable, judging their individual characteristics as athletes. I think 4 would not be a figure that I would not like to be held to. And I do believe that most of them, if not all, have the capability to pull the rabbit out of the proverbial hat on that day. Of course, it's a tough journey, because you're competing against the best in the world. And of course, a lot of them will be first timers in the Olympic Games, so that the butterfly effect that happens, will be a little more.
You're putting pressure on her.
No. She's not one to be pressurized, let me tell you. When you lead from first shot to the last shot in the Commonwealth Games and set a new world record, a new Commonwealth Games record, she's proven that she doesn't really care about pressure and all that much. Of course, everybody says. So, I think overall 4 medals would for Indian shooting would not be a tough ask. Not a tough ask.
Okay. On that note, we'll see what happens a year from now. As Abhinav said, it's too early to actually look ahead to a year. But fantastic talking to all of you. Nice to have all of you joining us for this. Thank you, Abhinav, Gagan, Apurvi, and Raninder.